Hey everybody, it's Aiden here once again and welcome back to Rfactor 2 as it is, as promised in Monday's video, time to review the entirety of the new endurance pack for, well, Rfactor 2. Now this pack has been a long time coming and in my previous video I called it a must-have DLC, the first must-have DLC that's been released so far for the sim, and this video intends to either solidify that claim or give me some new thoughts on it because I haven't spent enough time with the whole pack, just the LMP2. Now speaking of the LMP2, that's what we've got here. This is the Oreca 07 LMP2 and is one of 5 cars in the pack. The other 4 are the Norma LMP3, Bmw M8, Porsche 911 RSR and Corvette C7 R. And unlike in the first GT3 pack, these cars are GTEs rather than GT3s. So what's the difference? Well, GT3s have better straight line speed and GTEs have better downforce. Or so I'm told. So we'll start here with the Oreca as that is the one that's on screen, and we have got a really good looking model and a phenomenally good looking car. Now I'm going to take these to a track, have a look at the models in more detail in a track setting because they look better on track than they do in this scungy old warehouse here, and then I'll drive them. I won't be driving the LMP2 because I did that in Monday's video where I chucked it around Silverstone for a bit, so we're looking more at the others, but we'll still look at the models and all that good stuff. So which track are we going to today? I thought I would take them to Sepang, which is a track that's sort of been forgotten since Formula 1 waved goodbye to it last year and has a good mix of corners to really test these cars out on the default setups. Now I know a lot of you on the previous video wanted Suzuka, but this is close enough, right? Or have I balls this up? So anyway, let's go to Malaysia and see what these things will do. Alright then, so welcome to sunny Sepang, the former home of the Malaysian Grand Prix. And we're just going to have a quick look at the cockpit of the LMP2. Now, if you watched the previous video, you'll probably be well acquainted with this cockpit. This is the view I had driving around Silverstone. And people have been saying that the wiper there gets in the way, but I think it's like the halo. You don't even notice it when you're driving around. So looking quickly at the LCD screen, we've got our best lap, our last lap. We've got all the relevant temperatures that we have, our revs and all that good stuff. The amount of fuel we've got in litres, our revs, speed, and so on. Our tyre temperatures are in the middle of the screen. That's a nifty little feature, so you can run around with less information on the screen. So if you're one of these Rfactor 2 players that goes, "Realism," then you can do all that. And another nifty little thing I've noticed is that when you turn up the engine mixture, like this, you can see in the bottom right of the screen there, it goes from 0 up to 3. Now, I don't know if this is how they do things in the real car, where 1 is actually 0 and then up to 3, or if it's a bug with the thing, but someone have to clarify that. Maybe Marcel, if you're watching, you want to just sort of clarify that. I don't know if it is a bug or not, but to be honest, you know, you just got to remember that 3's max and 0 is lowest, but that's really cool for me anyway. And then we've got the details on the buttons. We've got the radio button, got a light button, we've got a funky little symbol on that yellow button there, which resembles a martini glass, so I'm assuming that's the drinks button. Got P+, which may be something to do with traction control because it has TC slip above that, but I'm not really sure. The acknowledgement button, so if you're halfway through a corner or trying to lap someone you don't really want to talk, just, yeah, I understood what you said. Then we've got a power button, and then we've got full course yellow button, the rain wiper button, the pit lane speed limiter, and my favourite button, the kill button. Now, I'm actually told that the kill button on this actually works, so I thought we'd give it a test. If you press a button on your steering wheel, it will actually turn everything off. Which button was it that I had mapped? I think it was that one. Nope. Doesn't want to work. Go to the outside. Does it actually do something to the model on the outside? Might be broken. Okay then, but since we're on the outside, we can have a look at the model, and it looks even better. And the best feature of this mod pack, I hesitate to call it a mod pack, as mod implies that it's free, but this is a paid DLC. So the best bit of this DLC pack is the new feature that you can see next to the number 99 on the side of the car. There is that 01. That is actually the position indicator. So obviously we're the only car on track right now, so we are going to be in first place. But in my previous video, I had a number 2. And on the LMP2s, those numbers are blue. On the LMP3s, they are purple or pink, sort of a pinky purple. And on the GTEs, they're red. And this is where it gets even cleverer, because you have it shows class position, not overall position. It shows class. So if you've got 4 LMPs, it will say 1, 2, 3, 4. Then if you've got 6 LMP3s, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or however many you've got, and then obviously all your GT3s. So that's going to be really good for watching endurance racing streams. So if VEC starts to use this mod and so on and so forth. So I'm not really going to drive this around. I'm just going to take this car back into the garage. I've messed up my pronunciations, but anyway, I'm just making this up as I go along. And we'll just look at the setup screen and see what we can do with that. So then, welcome to the setup screen. We've got all of our basic stuff in terms of the Rfactor 2 setup window here. We've got the amount of fuel that we can put in the car. We've got our folders for our setups. And I'm just going to click on General. Fixed gear ratio, so we can't really do anything with that. We've got our wheel range. We've got power, coast and preload for our diff. Front splitter, fixed. Rear wing, we can adjust. Fender flare on the dive planes. We can choose an option in the tuning menu in showroom view to whether you want it to be fixed or adjustable and things like that. Radiator tape, engine mixture, race and qualification mode. No boost mapping, no brake map. Suspension, no third springs, but we've got packers for the rear third springs. Front suspension, rear suspension, anti-roll bars, tow. No adjustable chassis parameters. Can't get my words out today. And then in the advanced bit, we've got all of our standard stuff there as well. And we've got the new traction control system mapping, which I will show in more detail when we drive the LMP3 around. And that's pretty much it for the LMP2. Like I say, not going to be driving the LMP2 because I spent so much time driving it the other day. So I will leave a card or a link at the end of this video so you can have a look at that. And we're just going to go straight ahead and jump into the LMP3. Alright then, so welcome back. We are now with the LMP3 car, and I actually think this looks even better than the LMP2. I mean, look at it. It's amazing, and we can see that we've got the different position indicator, and this is the Rebellion car. I'm assuming it's the Rebellion car, but I mean, the actual model, just scooting around the whole thing, looks great. Absolutely fantastic. Not a lot to say. I mean, the textures are very high quality, as they were on the LMP2, and we can turn the wipers on like we can with any other modern mod car for Rfactor 2. Great. Can't wait to drive it. So, we've had a quick look at the outside of the car. Let's whack it back in the garage and see what kind of setup tweaks we can make. Okay, so one of the things that we've got different in the LMP3 setup screen compared to the LMP2 is that we have a torsion bar. I don't know what a torsion bar is. If you know what a torsion bar is, what it does, and if they still use it in Formula 1, then let me know in the comments. We've got a third spring for the rear. We've got caster adjustments, and we've got all this stuff as well. I've altered some of these a bit. But that's pretty much it. Let's take some of the fuel out. I'm not going to need that much fuel. I'm not going to be driving around that long. 20 litres. That should do it. Alright, let's go for a drive. Oh, brand new to this car, so I don't know what I'm doing. Can't even see the apex of the first corner. Just following the rubber. Like many tracks I've driven at in Rfactor 2 or Assetto Corsa, I've only ever driven Formula 1 cars around here. Ooh, that's a first gear corner, is it? Not anywhere near the amount of downforce that its bigger brothers have. There's the apex. There it is. I've never been good at that corner. Seems to be taking a while to get the tyres up to temperature as well, which is something that people have been talking about. Apparently the rear brakes get too hot and then in turn that overheats the rear tyres, which makes the car quite squirrely, which you may have noticed in the Silverstone video. After about 3 or 4 laps the car started squirming around. I think I may have the brake balance a bit too far back. So it's drivable on its default setup, but you can't really go on flying laps with it. I'm only going to do the one fly lap in each car just for time purposes, but I'm getting a good initial impression. I don't think I'd want to do a full race in the LMP3, it's just not my thing. Maybe I'm too spoiled with the amount of downforce I get from other cars. But then again, I drive V8 supercars, which are my thing. They're my speciality, really. They don't have the downforce that this thing does. Yeah. Not really my thing, this. Good, but not my thing. That's what I have to say about the LMP3. The tyres are pretty much there now, but and across the line. And that's the Norma LMP3. So, moving on. We'll jump into one of the GTs now, and I think we will pick the BMW first. Alright then, so we're back at Malaysia in the BMW M8, and again, a really good looking model here, and sounds great as well. And we can see there that the number 1 is in red, so you know it's a GTE, and we're in first position, well, first in class. As it turns out, but just getting a quick look around the car. Not a lot to say really, just looks absolutely phenomenal. And the one thing I wanted to show you here is the traction control settings, which is now incremental, like it is in Assetto Corsa, rather than just being low, medium and high like it was before. So I'm going to set it on about level 10 for now, just to get the tyres warmed up. I'm not really going to show the setup screen because it's kind of the same as what you get in the LMPs. I mean, you can figure all that for yourself. I'm not going to bore you with the nitty-gritty details. I just want to show you the driving, and yeah, we're just going to go out and have some fun. So let's get that speed limiter off, get back into the cockpit, and we've got a proper rear view camera, and we can just go out and drive. Haven't actually driven this car yet, so this will be new to me. Decent amount of initial turning though. I can stomp on the throttle in this car as well compared to the LMP3. Some people were saying, why don't we have downshift protection in this? Which is a good question, to be honest. And I'm hoping that we do get hybrid simulation at some point as well. Purely because of LMP1 hype. No, this is much better to drive than the LMP3, for me anyway. Just love that transmission whine as well. Still a bit squirrely going into that very tricky right-hander. Yeah, this car suits me a bit better than the LMP3 does. Right, let's go for a time lap. Hit a bump in the road, upset the car slightly. Let's turn the traction control down a couple of clicks and see what happens on the exit of turn 4 here. Probably a camber adjustment needed. Change the engine mixture as well. You can see that down there. That is definitely more my thing. 2 minutes 7. And the tyre temperatures are all over the place. But again, default setup, what do you expect? So let's get back into the outside. Great looking car, great car to drive. So we've only got 2 cars left to look at. And we're going to go next into the Porsche. Okay then, so here we are with the 911 RSR. Looks again fantastic. I know I keep saying that about all the models and all the textures, but it's just the same across the board here really. And we've got it in this beautiful Gulf type of well, it is a Gulf racing colours livery, again with the position indicator. And yeah, I'm just going to turn up the traction control, put the mixture on level 3, jump back into the cockpit, and let's go for a drive. Oh yeah, let's see how it sounds first before we do anything else. Amazing. Love the way this thing screams. Should probably go back into the cockpit. Now this is the only car I'd spent any real time in other than the LMP2 before today, so I've got a rough idea of how this handles. And immediately out the box, it feels a little bit better. But I do have some things to pick at it, which we'll get to in a second. The car hits the rev limiter before the shift lights come on. I'll show you here. See what I mean? So, yeah, that's kind of an annoying thing. I think the only problems with this DLC are graphical, and even then they're only very minor things that aren't deal breakers for me. I mean, I'm not looking at any of the stuff on screen, to be honest. I change gear by what I'm hearing in terms of engine note. It's probably the musician in me using my ear to change gear, so I'm like, now. I think it does drive a little bit better than the BMW. Maybe it just suits my driving style, I don't know, but just waiting for livery packs to turn up now, because a realistic grid would be great. Like a Porsche Cup mod or something like that with this. I like the rear view camera as well. It's like the one you find in your normal family road car. Tells you how close you are to hitting the guy in the Asda car park or whatever. Probably don't need second gear for that corner. We're okay. The other thing is, though, when you hit the rev limiter, the sound just drops off. See what I mean? Very easy to drive car, this. It's just there for you. Could definitely go racing on default setup in this. And if you do tune in a really good setup, you're going to have an absolute rocket ship on your hands. Missed that. Bit of a twitch. Now the tyres are warmed up, I can turn the traction control down a little bit. Oh, I missed that apex entirely. But I could just slam on the gas on the other side of the corner. And across the line. And this has been the Porsche 2 minutes 6, went a full second quicker. Do love this car. I guess the last car to try out is the Corvette. Now, I haven't driven the Corvette yet. I've only driven the Porsche and I've only driven the LMP2 before today, so what a car. I hope that the Corvette is as good and be a good one to end on, and then when I've done the Corvette, do some final thoughts, and then I'll let you get back on with your day. So stay tuned and join me with the Corvette C7 R. And finally, we have the Corvette C7R in this really sexy RF2 livery here, and a Dutch flag as well, so I'm guessing Marcel Offermans had something to do with this livery, but it looks great. And how does she sound? V8 more. Awesome. Alright, let's get into the cockpit. And the cockpit looks great, to be honest. Has a couple of different features on it. No, that's my brake balance. Not that one. I want this one. See my brake balance adjustment on that. One of these cars has something to do with the traction control. I don't think it's this one, is it? No, it's not. Okay. I think it might have been the Porsche. But anyway, enough talk. Let's go for a drive. Sounds amazing. Let's get the car turned in for T1 as it gets called. It's almost as annoying as people calling guitar pickups pups. Just call them by their proper names. I can see this car being very popular in league racing because compared to all the others I've driven today, this thing is on rails. And I can't wait to drive this pack around the laser scan Sebring that's coming out. Just letting you listen to the V8 motor. This thing's got grip for days. Bastard quick as well. Probably turn the traction control down a bit as well now. Alright, time lap. Watch the world disappear behind me in the rearview camera. Probably need to adjust the packers and the bump rebound and all that stuff for that bump going into turn 1 there. If you're new to this kind of thing, drive the Corvette. Because the baseline setup in this is unbelievable. If you think the Porsche was good, this thing is even gooder. I mean better. Actually, speaking of laser scan Sebring, I should probably do a video on the great laser scan debate because it's a debate that rages on the forums. I'll have to get some material together for that one because that one could be a good, interesting discussion piece. Another episode of Hot Laps and Chat. Stay tuned for that. No anti-lock brakes on this car, by the way, but it feels like I've got them. The thing just stops. So what's my time then? Give me a time. Oh, you haven't given me a time. Okay. Well, that felt quicker than the Porsche, and it drove brilliantly. Absolutely brilliantly. So this was the final car in the pack, the Corvette C7 R. And then we're going to go back to showroom view, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So stay tuned, and I'll be back in a second. Okay then, so welcome back for the final part of this mod review, and I absolutely love it. What I said in the previous video still remains true. The only car I probably would avoid, in my own personal opinion, because it's not suited to the way I drive and things like that, is the LMP3, but it is a challenge to drive, so if you're after a challenge, by all means go for that. And the other thing that I was going to mention is the pricing. Now, in the UK, it costs just over £13, which is fine if you live in the UK. It's about €14, $20 Canadian, something like that, $18 US. So in our economies, that's perfectly fine. But Hassan I'm not going to bother pronouncing that. Can you let me know how it's pronounced? Because I don't want to butcher it on camera. But he was saying in my previous video that in Turkey, in Turkish lira, this pack costs 3 times as much as the base Assetto Corsa. And because this is not DLC in the traditional sense, it's an in-game item, it never goes on sale. So Studio 397 have set the price in terms of euros, and then just done a conversion. So if you live in Brazil, Turkey, and I'm assuming India, South Africa, or what we would call emerging economies, it's expensive. So there is that. However, there is the other question that got asked on the previous video. Endure Racers mod. That's free, and you get way more cars and way more liveries. True. But the LMP2 in this mod drives much better than Endure Racers. I do like the Endure Racers mod, but they've got way too much grip, in my opinion. At least with this mod, or DLC pack, whatever you want to call it, has been developed with the actual manufacturers, so you've got a more realistic depiction of each car. Now, to put this into context, if you were to buy an add-on pack for Flight Simulator or iRacing or anything like that, individually the cars in iRacing would cost 15 quid a piece, something like that. In Flight Simulator, you're looking at probably twice, maybe 3 times as much as this pack for an airport scenery. So in terms of value, at least where I live, it's great. And it drives fantastic. And I can't really find any faults with it, apart from the little graphical glitches that I've found. Maybe not actually glitches, but it's the driving that counts, in my opinion. And I really do enjoy this mod. And if you can get your hands on it, I absolutely implore you to get your hands on it. This really is the first must-have DLC pack for Rfactor 2. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more stuff like this, mod reviews, story time, hot laps and chat, all that good stuff, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And until Friday, when I see you all again, I've been Aidan Millward. Have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again on, well, Friday. Goodbye.